Hello and welcome to Slam Fire Radio. This is episode 358 for June 11th, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another one of your hosts, Kelly.
And that's what we're up to today.
That's it.
Just the Maple Seed crew running the show
Yeah,
today.
I know.
Yeah. Why don't we get into what we did in guns? What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Centre, Canada's premier firearms retailer. Right now they have the Glock 19X. It's a 9mm. Ooh, that's
Cool.
stanky. Love it.
Yep.
9mm, 4.2 inch barrel with Glock night sights in Coyote, and that is $938.
Nice. Are you gonna give one?
I already have a Glock.
I know, but
All my pistols are like
better.
match pistols though. Like I don't have any like quote unquote like regular pistols. They're all competition pistols.
And they're all black, not Coyote.
No, I have one that's got wood grips on it, and I have a silver one. My Norinco.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, what have you been up to in guns this week?
I've done quite a bit. So I haven't been on in 2 weeks. I kind of, wasn't on last week. Anyways, so there's that whole William movement on the CCFR. I am William, hashtag I'm William. So I also made a donation to the CCFR to match William's $10 that he sent in. And I sent in a little bit as well, a little bit more than $10. But I hope everybody can do that. Just go and make a donation to the CCFR for their legal funds and just say, I am William. Post it. Let us know about it too, and we'll talk about that. The other thing that I did was I went and picked this up. This is the Smith & Wesson Victory pistol that a friend of mine gave to me for Ladies' Days. So I did go and get it. It's a fantastic little pistol. I haven't shot it yet. It's 22. It would be great for Ladies' Day, but I haven't taken it out to the range to shoot yet.
What's the weight like? It looks like it's got like a really thick barrel on there.
Holy, it is like super heavy. It is. It's got a nice barrel.
That's fantastic though. For shooting a 22, there'll be like no recoil. You'll just be like plugging away with that thing.
It's like a little target pistol. So I gotta go shoot it, and then I'll post my targets as well. I ordered some. Call sign 66 was on 3 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Whenever they were on.
Like that, yeah.
I went and ordered some of their swag. I went to their website, and so I got a T-shirt and I got a hat, and like they said, all that money goes towards getting some of the guys that were formerly in the military out shooting. So I went and ordered that stuff. They also went to their website for Bolt Action Coffee Company and ordered some of that. I haven't received it yet. They're roasting it right now, but they just started up that company, and they're also doing a giveaway too. They're giving away one of their courses. So if you go on to their website and then go and share it and tag people in it, do all that stuff, and then you can actually win one of their courses as well. So I went and did that. I went and saw my dad because I gave him or not me, but my family gave him a 1022 for his retirement. And when we gave it to him, I said, there's some parts, some upgrades that we can give you for this, and I'll help you install it. So I went and saw him on Saturday because I had to go and find all these parts. And I gave him a silicone bolt pin, so buffer pin. And then I also gave him the Matador Arms rotary coupler. So I gave him that, the mag coupler. And I also gave him the auto bolt release, but I did not have any of the mag release. The Matador Arms has a really, really good one. They don't have any in stock. I looked all over the place for one, and I wasn't able to find one. So I'm trying to find a mag release or extended mag release for the 1022, because there's two things that they really should have fixed on the 1022. One of them was the auto bolt release. The other one was the mag release, because they both suck. So I'm trying to find that. Annika, if you're listening and you have some extra ones, let me know. I'll buy it off you. And then I also went skeet shooting last night. I went with Kyle and Kelly Kincaid. Nice. So, yay, back at the range.
28 gauge?
Of course I brought the 28 gauge. We have to keep it legal, right? So I went and did a round of skeet with them. We're going to plan on doing skeet every Wednesday now. So they're open Wednesdays and Sundays, and we're going to go after work on Wednesdays.
Fantastic.
Yeah. that's me. That's all I do with guns. What about you?
Let's see here. I got my letter.
You got your
RCMP,
letter. Yay.
RCMP letter notification. I think I might post it on some gun Reddits on Reddit and Instagram and that kind of thing. Mostly just to show Americans like what's going on here, because there's nothing I can do about this
Nope.
at this time. So I might do that.
Are you going to write anything special on it? Or just post it?
Just post. No, I'll let people know what's going on. I mean, most of this is just like a warning to them that this is what happens. This is what could happen. So I'll try to get that out.
Okay.
Let's see here. I put in an order with Go Tenda and the Calgary Shooting Center. I'm pretty sure I did those both when I was on the show last week.
Last week?
Yeah.
You ordered something last week on the show, I heard. What did you order?
I ordered, well, from Tenda, I ordered some like 2,000 rounds of 9mm because they had that cheap federal aluminum stuff and it runs fine in my Shadow. So I'm going to buy some of that. Or I bought some of that. I got 4 10-22 mags and I got some 30-30 for my buddy. That hasn't even shipped yet because they're swamped. So they ship slow. And I also ordered from Calgary Shooting Center, Winchester Wildcat, and that shipped fast. So,
Yay!
whoop.
Upside down.
There we go. Just got it today. I haven't even unboxed it. I cut the plastic before the show, but that's it. So
you haven't even opened it up.
I haven't even opened it up. Let's see what we got here. So foam pack. It's so light. It's so light. When I saw what the price was on these, that's what I was like, oh, I got to get one of those. Oh, I'm gonna have to cut that.
How much was it?
$309.
That's good.
Watch a mag release. Boop. So that you can release the mag just by pulling on these guys back, or by the traditional spot up here. Now I heard this will take 10-22 mags.
Serious?
And it will take 10-22 mags.
Sweet.
And it has a drop that actually works. Not that bad. Does it work from the side? It works from the side. It pops it. Does it work upside down? So like in a 10-22, if you don't have that thing like straight
Vertical.
up and down, it doesn't come out. Let's see if it pops. Boop.
Awesome.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's got a peep sight on the back there, so that's kind of interesting. How's it look? It's a little bit big for my taste, but that's okay.
How light is it?
4 pounds.
Yeah, it's really light.
It's extremely lightweight. And the other thing I heard is that the disassembly on this thing is very, very easy. There's a button. You see that red button at the back there? I believe, I have not looked anything up, but I believe you can just pull this out. Oh, that strap might be catching there. Maybe not. Maybe I should look at the instructions first. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, it'll just unhinge right there. It all comes out, and that's that. So pretty easy. It does auto bolt release.
Cool.
And let's just here. Is it that guy there? I'm pretty sure it's that guy there. I'm just trying to figure out the, oh, there it is.
Pull back.
Yeah, the bolt, there's a little piece of plastic here. You pull that up and then it lets go, and then it auto bolts. That's neat. What's this guy here? Is that a bolt hold open? Safety?
Safety?
It's the bolt hold open. Interesting. Oh. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I can just pull it back, press this guy in, let go of the bolt, and it holds. Interesting. Safety is cross bolt right here.
Okay.
Well, that is super interesting. Now, I would prefer a comb that was higher, and it does not come with any add-ons. So I think if I was to complain about one thing in this rifle so far, it would be, I think all rifles these days should come with an add-on cheek piece where it's like, okay,
raise it,
irons and clip, and now it's good for a scope, because I think you could reasonably assume the scope's going to be about yay high off the top of the rail here, and go with that. Oh yeah, look, integrated rail, not an add-on rail. So I think this is I think it's a pretty neat upgrade over a 1022 in terms of like features and that kind of thing, fixing some of the things that are kind of annoying on a 1022. I believe this
It's a
mag will also do a last shot hold open.
cool.
Yeah, which is kind of nice. And then with the 1022 mags, it won't. But interesting, anyways. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're gonna take it out this weekend?
I'm gonna go camping this weekend. I probably won't bring it just because I like to keep it simple when I go camping. But
Yeah.
I will get it out to the range very, very soon.
Goodbye.
What's that?
It was a goodbye, not goodbye.
I think yeah. I was very confusing
Bye.
for a second there. Yeah, I think it's a good buy for $300 because like a basic 1022 is right around $300, right?
Sure.
New?
Okay. No.
Yeah,
No.
right. So we'll have to see what the accuracy is like, and we'll have to see what the reliability is like. If it's anything like it's called the Winchester Wildcat. Winchester Wildcat ammo is awful. Like I would have used any other brand name on a rifle than Wildcat because it's like it's horrible. So hopefully
But
it's more
it's
accurate
cheap.
there and more reliable than the ammo that Winchester puts out.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
What?
The mag has a little rotary dial on there so that you can push it over to thumb rounds in there. So with a 1020, you got to kind of lever them over a little bit. Whereas with this one, you can just pull on that dial and that makes room for the next round. All in all, like a good set of upgrades over the 1022.
Now let's see if it shoots.
Yeah, let's see if it shoots. And I mean, the thing about the 1022 is that it is a rifle, but it's also a platform. So like when you buy a 1022, you're buying a platform. You can replace everything. You can like all the problems are really well known. All the reliability things are really well known. If there's like a part breaks, it's like it's a common thing, and all that is nice. Whereas this is V1. This is version 1 of this rifle, and often there are issues with brand new rifles. Yeah.
Okay. What else?
That's it. I'm gonna go to a club meeting tonight. Trying
yeah.
to got some maple seeds to do in next weekend, and got to make sure that we've got like grass cut and all that kind of stuff ready to rock and roll. So I have to figure out how to do that. Gonna use like we've got a nice grassy spot where I want to kind of set things up because part of doing events these days in Alberta, we've as of tomorrow, our limit is 100 people at an event.
Yeah.
So that's plenty, but you have to maintain social distancing. So that's 2 meters between people. And for something like Maple Seed, where you need everyone on the line, it's going to make for a lot of width and yeah, quite a long shooting line. It'll be very luxurious. Most of the time at Maple Seeds, people are like kind of close, yeah, and brass like gets down your neck and burns you, and like that's all part of shooting in close quarters. But with 2 meters, I don't think very many. I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of brass burns.
No.
No.
It'll be nice. Nobody's kicking you. Nobody's shooting on top of you. Maybe even people aren't shooting your target. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I probably don't even need those number cards on the targets. People,
you still will.
Oh, I still need them. Yeah,
you will.
I know. And then yeah, the other thing I've been doing is like pre-bagging and pre-binning everything. So it's like this bin packaged June 8th, so that when we pull them out, it's like, okay, this bin was packed on June 8th. There can't be any coronavirus in there because it doesn't live on surfaces that long. And I don't have coronavirus too.
You
so
don't have that.
Yeah. So that part. But yeah, it's going to be good. We're finally getting some good weather out here, and it'll be nice to. It'll probably rain, but as it always does. But
at least it's not snowing.
At least it's not.
Hopefully.
That March weekend that I would have had the first one, it was going to be like pretty crappy. It was like 5 to 8 for the whole day. Pretty cold, but the Rona came around, so didn't get to do that one. I think that's it for me.
Cool.
why don't we get on to our new sponsors? So upcoming events. Upcoming events is sponsored by Telos Alpha. Telos Alpha is a Canadian digital agency that works in the firearms vertical. They help with business processes, strategic planning, websites, e-commerce, and battling the stigma the industry carries with banks, merchant processors, and social media. So if you own a gun shop or you know someone who owns a gun shop and their website kind of sucks, tell them to talk to Telos Alpha because they'll help them set up a website properly. There's a lot of tools out these days that some people try to use to do it themselves, and the result is often an e-commerce website that is kind of crappy. And the firearms industry is kind of well known for having crappy websites. So if you want a good website, talk to these guys.
To them. Did you check out SFRC's new website?
I think I have.
In the past 4 or 5 months, they upgraded their website. Mm-hmm. Telos is the one that did it for them. The one before that, don't tell them I said it, but it sucked.
It was pretty hurting. Like I once you got used to it, it was okay. But just when you first get in, you're like, oh man.
Yeah. But the new website was done by these guys, and they did a really good job with that too. So go and check them out.
Photography, good, easy to browse through.
Yep.
Ooh, TT33s. No, I already got one. I don't need another one of those.
Shiny.
Shiny. Ooh, surplus guns.
You're on there now.
I like cheap surplus guns, and whenever I see them, I'm like, man, I could buy that. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to finish the sponsor ad, or do you?
I kind of went on another way and talked about more stuff from the sponsor ad.
Yeah.
Learn if you want a website that doesn't suck for your firearms shop nearby. Go to telosalpha.com. Upcoming events. We have the 5th annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge, July 4th. This is USPSA Steel Challenge rules and stages. 7 stages, 7 squads of 10, costs $25. Oh, that's so super reasonable.
Cheap.
And there are 50 spots left. You can go to Practice Score, look for the annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge, or just search Steel Challenge in New Brunswick. I'm sure it'll pop up. Practice Score has been upgrading as well, so that's pretty good as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, news. I added some to this, and then I don't know if I actually said them last week or not, but there's been a bunch of different places donating to the CCFR Legal Challenge. Yep. Vancouver Island Arms Collectors Associations, or VIACA, they donated to the CCFR Legal Challenge Fund $20,000. MDT, Modular Driven Technologies.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the guys that make the cool aluminum stocks you can put in your bolt action rifles and that kind of thing. They donated $10,000, and East Elgin Sportsman Association also donated $5,000, which is fantastic. This is all local Canadian organizations and ranges and sportsman associations donating to this legal challenge, which should help juice it up and afford the best lawyers possible. The next one, I should probably do a screen share for this one because it's
please.
Yeah. 1 second.
While he's doing that, if you or your club has donated money towards the CCFR legal fund, just go to our website, not our website, but our Facebook page, or send us an email and let us know, and we can also talk about it. Week.
Let us know, because right now I'm going off like Facebook, like CCFR notices, and I miss a lot. So we'd love to talk about those.
Yeah.
We talked about, Ryan talked about the Maple Ridge Armory straight pull receiver set. They are now doing pre-order for an estimated delivery of August 31st. So these look pretty neat.
He was doing teasers about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he released like this little picture and that little picture and put them on Instagram. It's called the MRA V1B receiver kit. It's a non-restricted, spring-assisted, manually operated straight pull bolt action. It's a straight pull AR facsimile. So it's got its own bolt carrier group, but you supply the bolt, which is actually a good idea. So take your old AR, pull the bolt out. They can't use your old BCG. They need to use their own because it's a side charging one, right? So that makes sense. But take all your other parts, bolt it to one of these, and your old restricted AR is now your old restricted, now prohibited AR is now a non-restricted straight pull. So easy way to take all those really nice parts that you took all that time researching and finding and buying and tuning and putting them
And
into a
money.
platform, and money, and put them into a platform that that you're able to use it for. So
Right.
this thing can be assembled to make 223, 300 Blackout, 65 Grendel, 224 Valkyrie, 762 by 39, 300 Hammer. What was the one that Trevor wants to do? 300 Hammer?
No idea.
It was one of the 30 cals, or 762 by 40 WT if you're into that kind of thing. So it does come with a gas journal seal, but if you the one that comes with is 0.75 inch. But if your rifle has something else, just take the gas block and turn it when you install it and call it a day, and you don't have to worry about it because then the gas won't come out. It comes with the upper receiver, lower receiver, bolt carrier, charging handle, end plate, and that gas journal seal, and it is selling for $7.99.
Right. So it's $200 deposit. You have to pay that. Estimated time of delivery is the end of August. It's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
Sweet.
This other one, like this isn't like the best price, but I loved seeing the price there because I remember, and I haven't seen this ammo before. I remember buying ammo when I was like 18 or so, and it was $250 for a 50 round box of 22 shells, and then it was much more expensive like than that for years and years afterwards. We're back to that price.
Why do you think it's back though? It's $2.49 for 50.
It's back
40.
because all the ammo manufacturers, every time there's a panic buy in the US, they panic buy 9mm, 223, and 22.
Right.
And so all these manufacturers have been like, oh my God, so much demand. And they've all cranked out their production. So now they're all producing a lot more of this 22 ammo, right? And now they've got to the point where they're producing it in such high volumes that they're able to sell it for lower price. And the demand is starting to taper off as well. So less demand, more supply, lower prices. And we're priced back where I remember buying in the,
20
late
years
90s
ago.
kind of thing. Yeah. So
it's federal.
I want to, I should probably share my screen for this one too.
Yeah.
This is, it's almost like a white box ammo, and I haven't seen it before. RTP, Range Target Practice 22. I don't know if it's like their offcuts or their factory seconds or something like that, but it's cheap. It's very cheap.
So have you bought any?
No, I just saw this today, and I was like,
okay.
oh, copper plated, round nose, interesting. I kind of like copper plated, not for like accuracy wise, it's not as good as just straight lead with wax or something like that on there, but I like it if I'm going to go shoot gophers or like pocket carry my 22 ammo, right? Because I'm not going to get leady fingers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be fine for that, but interesting and cheap. And there's a rebate. Yeah.
Oh, there's a rebate with it too?
Yeah, it's $250 and there's a rebate. So buy a new rimfire rifle or handgun from any brand at an authorized dealer and 2 boxes of this to get the purchase price of 1 box. Oh, who cares? It's $2.50.
It's $2.50.
Yeah, okay. So who cares about that rebate? But it's $2.50, so just buy some of that if you want to.
Some people would care about $2.50. I do.
When I use like coupons, if I'm gonna coupon, I'm gonna coupon for serious, and I'm gonna coupon like they all have a rebate associated with them. I'm like clipping out like UPC codes from like 200 boxes of ammo. Gotta get those good deals.
See, what you do is you get your kids to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like coupon clipping.
They would do it wrong. They would like cut that UPC in half or something like
Shut
that.
up.
It'd be ruined. They ruin my 50 cents that UPC represents.
So people want to know where that deal is. The deal for
the Maple Ridge one?
I don't know if he's talking about the federal. So the federal is available through Cabela's and the receivers through Maple Ridge Armories.
Or Bullseye is doing the pre-order. True
Mm-hmm.
North Arms is doing the pre-order. A lot of the people who distributed Maple Ridge before, they're all doing the
Yep.
pre-order as well. So if you need some extra parts, that might be the way to go, because if you needed like something extra, maybe you could get it from True North Arms, for example. So
Right.
lots of different options there in terms of where you get it.
Okay.
Cool. All right, why don't we head on to the main topic? All right, welcome to the main topic. For today, we've got Jordan from the Nighttime Podcast. Jordan, you've been on the podcast before, but welcome back.
Yeah, I guess thank you. This is probably my third time. I'm like a veteran.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Well,
feel
it's
like
always.
I feel like a gun enthusiast, like by proxy.
Do you have any guns yet? Did you even do your PAL?
I have
No.
they're pewers, and I haven't yet. No, just got. We're a bit more into like Guitar Hero, that sort of thing. So
Video games. I can relate. I've been doing a lot of gaming during the lockdown. But maybe let's get right into it. So you've been doing a couple of episodes on the Nova Scotia shooter. Why don't we talk a little bit about kind of what's been discovered since the incident happened? I mean, a lot of this information isn't really clearly coming across either, right?
no, it's coming out really in bits and pieces. Like even from the very first moment this had all started, it's been just morsels of information, and really each piece of new information that's come out is just painting a more horrific picture of what happened, and also painting a more clumsy picture of how it was handled by law enforcement. And it's starting to look pretty bad. There's even like a group of senators who are calling for like a full like investigation into the police response. So yeah, it's not looking good for anybody involved in this.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done a public inquiry on it just yet, and they're still just letting it through. I mean, it's hard to fault anyone for being panicked day of and making
Mm.
mistakes, because it all unrolled fairly quickly. But it seems that there was a couple failings in the lead up to it as well that were
Yeah,
pretty key.
yeah, much like a lot of major crimes like this is what's come out now and what's surfaced is there's so many red flags from this guy's background that in hindsight you're thinking like of course something bad happened, although of course nobody could have ever expected this.
Right.
So there's the question about how he was able to get to this point, but also even within the event, like people who are watching your show probably know the basics of the story is basically a disgruntled denturist who's
Hmm.
by trade ran a denture clinic, who had an interest in collecting police memorabilia. He got in a police car that he had bought, like from, I guess when a police car is no longer used, it just goes to auction or whatever, and the equipment's removed from it. He
Yep.
had bought a few of those and had one in his garage that he restored, even with decals and everything, to make it look like a perfect replica of a RCMP car. He used that car in an RCMP uniform when he went on his shooting and arson rampage. He's kind of the incident. In the end, 22 were left dead, and it's been referred to as like a mass shooting. Although several of the victims actually died in fire. He was burning homes down in his neighborhood when it started, and
Yeah.
from there got in the police car with the uniform on and went on a shooting spree. But anyway, it's throughout the event when it actually happened, I think over a course of about 13 hours, the RCMP were hot on his trail the whole time, but it wasn't until very late in the game that they released kind of the information publicly that he was in a police cruiser dressed as a cop. When some of the early, like, and they're being criticized for that, rightfully so, because what's coming out weeks now since the event happened is the police law enforcement knew much earlier on that he was likely in a police car than when they had said they had known that. Like it's
Hmm.
what it's kind of the reporting and investigation being done into their response is showing is that they knew a lot earlier, and likely lives would have been saved had people had known.
Yeah, had they pushed it out over the Amber Alert system rather than over Twitter.
Yeah, that was kind of the debate, and it's like the Amber Alert system, or I don't know what the technical name is, but basically the idea that you would get like update on your phone, saying, an emergency, this is happening.
Yeah.
I guess people thought they should have used that system. They didn't, but they did use it for the coronavirus, during the Easter weekend. So it's like you literally would have had been living under a rock at that point to not realize that you needed to social isolate and it was a pandemic. Yet they used it for that reason, but not when, a guy dressed as a cop driving a replica cop car was driving around the province, shooting people and burning their houses down.
Yeah, exactly. And I have heard that that criticism as well, and I mean it's justified because Twitter is not a majority social media platform. Even like most people aren't on Twitter.
Exactly, and I think the way the RCMP have addressed that is that their plan was if we put it on Twitter, the news source and media, CBC and all that will get access to it and they'll spread it for us. But it wasn't really that like this was a breaking kind of event that people needed to know about. Like there was when you hear about some of the victims and what happened, it's like one lady seemed to just be walking down the street and he just pulled up alongside her and ended her life. She likely wouldn't have been out for her casual stroll around the countryside had she known this was happening. That's just one example. But
Yeah, exactly. So, in your episodes, have you found anything interesting that's happened in the last couple of months, or anything that's been revealed that that kind of shocked you?
oh yeah, like really when this all happened, I remember getting up in the morning and seeing like the tweet that we just mentioned that RCMP put out saying, there's somebody, an active shooter, and they're thought to be driving a police car. And I remember watching the news kind of break on my phone, being like, what the heck is going on? And it wasn't right in where I'm living, so I wasn't too worried about it. I was going about my day. And then a little while later, it was where they were giving updates as far as his location in the car. It seemed like he was kind of coming for Halifax. And then my wife even said, like, I was out shopping. She's like, come home. Like, you don't know what's going to happen with this. And as I was getting on my way home, I got a text from a listener of Nighttime, and they had sent me a video that they filmed on the side of the road. And it just so happened that they happened upon him wrecking his police car and getting out, and he actually drove his police car into another cop car and got out and killed the cop. Like I'm sure you've heard of him murdering another police officer. They just happened to be like in traffic as that happened, and I was looking at my video on the video on my phone, just like like I was kind of seeing it in my head as I was reading the Twitter of this crazy thing, but to see on your phone, like, cars on fire and all this stuff happening on a highway you've driven down a million times. But anyway, it all seems so bizarre and unusual and like something out of a horror movie or something. In fact, there is a horror movie called Maniac Cop about a guy who goes in a police uniform doing horrible things. But
Oh, interesting.
anyway, as far as what has come out in this, looking at this guy's life is just a really troubled picture of somebody who's had alcohol problems, anger problems, has subjected his partner to like what sounds like pretty extreme domestic violence. He had an interest in illegal firearms, which I'm sure you know a lot more about than me. But my understanding is he had some pretty heavy duty kind of firearms that were illegally owned, and it sounds like they were brought into the country illegally as well.
Yeah,
Right.
we're not sure right now because the police aren't giving any details, and they're the only ones with details. So unless they leak that, we won't know. The neighbor did say that he had some what looked like assault firearms, but like what is that? Who knows? Like it could have been anything really, because most
Mhm.
people when they see there are some firearms that look like heavy duty assault firearms and they aren't, and then there's some that don't and they are very like um, serious firearms. But it's hard to say what he had because we just don't know. All we know is that one was from an estate. Whether he got it directly or the person who had the estate gave it to him illegally, one of the two. and then the others were brought in from the States, smuggled, so illegally smuggled in from the States.
Yeah. But I guess the fact of the matter is he didn't have them, like just by them simply not being registered, wouldn't that just make, an otherwise acceptable firearm illegal if it just wasn't registered? Is that how that
Well,
works?
there's registration on restricted firearms. Non-restricted firearms aren't registered, but he doesn't have a PAL either. Like firearms possession is not strictly legal in Canada unless you've got a PAL or someone with a PAL's next to you, kind of a thing, right? You can't be in possession of a firearm.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, and smuggling them into the country is not really legal either.
Doesn't it, like when you use the word smuggle, it sounds wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just buy them and just bring them in. It's just like keep your mouth shut and bring them in. Yeah.
That's not how it works. But needless to say, it's like when you look at this guy's history, it's the kind of thing where it's kind of boggles the mind that something hasn't happened to stop him. But I guess at the same time, it like what I've learned in years of covering crime on my podcast is that it's like you got to do something really bad before anyone actually takes a look at what you have going on. Like you can, like his history included a pretty vicious assault on a young man outside of his business. So basically, I talked about this in my podcast, but I mentioned the shooter had owned a well-known denture clinic in downtown Dartmouth that just so happened to have a bus stop in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was charged in, I can't think of the year, it may have been like 2001. It's a while back. Maybe anyway, forget that I said the year, but I'm not sure exactly when, but it was a while ago. But anyway, a young guy, just a teenager, was waiting for the bus outside of the clinic when, without any warning, the shooter charged out of the clinic and just started pounding on him and beating him. And the two of them are on the sidewalk, like rolling around, like fist fighting. And it just so happened that cops drove by and broke it up. And the eventual gunman was charged for assault for that. And he ended up actually, a part of his sentence or the conditions of his punishment or whatever was that he wasn't allowed to possess firearms for like a year or something. But this was well before all this happened. But it's just one kind of disturbing story to show that he has, some problems with violence. From there was stories that came out of him randomly threatening, talking to his brother on the phone. I think it was his brother, maybe his cousin. It's saying, I'm going to get in my car and go to New Brunswick where my parents live, and I'm going to shoot them to death. The parents were notified that this happened, that this was said, and that he was planning this. They called the police. The police went to his house and checked on him. And apparently he told the cops, it was a big misunderstanding. No big deal. And they let him go for that. And there's another story that just very recently came out from like 2011, where a tip was given to Truro police, and Truro's the city very near where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
A tip was given to the Truro police, I think it was 2011, telling them that this man, the eventual gunman, the denturist, had made statements to say that he planned to kill a cop and that he had illegal firearms and plenty of them. The RCMP, and a part of the tip went on to say like he hides these firearms like behind his chimney in his fireplace or something, and that he travels to and from Halifax to his home with an illegal handgun. Like it was a very detailed tip. But what ended up happening is like the Truro has their own police force, but the gunman lived outside of the city in kind of RCMP territory. So Truro did some minor investigation and then passed it along to the RCMP. It hasn't really come out what the RCMP did, but whatever happened wasn't sufficient that there was even records kept of this. So this had only come out very recently that this even happened, but it's when you kind of put all the red flags from the gunman's history together, you see someone who had, again, like I said, multiple times police were notified that he had illegal firearms. He had charges of violence. He had made statements that he planned to kill a cop, and that was sent to the cops. And they knew about this. It was put out on like some kind of police wire where all the different police agencies in Nova Scotia had found out that this had happened in 2011, but
Mm-hmm.
none of this stopped him from doing what he did. And he basically had 13 hours dressed as a cop in a cop car to go around doing very horrible things. And it's almost like, when you think about it, it's he was able to get away with it for so long that night and into the next morning because of the outfit and the car.
Yeah.
But it's a real horrific thing to think about, is these people, like, their last moments would have been, I think a lot of them are probably like, oh, I'm going to be safe now, here comes a police officer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
horrific.
just reading about it day of, it kind of reminded me of September 11th in the uniqueness of the strategy used and how it completely exploited this vulnerability, right? Like before
Mhm.
September 11th, if there were hijackers on an airplane, oh, just let them do what they need to. We'll go to Cuba or whatever, right? No one thought of, well, they're going to run the planes into some buildings, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, like this cop mass shooting, this hasn't happened before. No one's done this kind of thing or tried this kind of thing. You mentioned a movie that talks about it. That must not be a very popular movie. I haven't heard of that one.
I'm really into like 80s horror. I think they made like there's like Maniac Cop 1, 2, and 3. There was also like kind of a copycat one called Psycho Cop. This is going
Mhm.
back a long time, but I don't like, not to say he took inspiration from it or anything, but it's that's just something, like, when it happened, that was the first thing I thought of, because I really like that. I used to like that movie series.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever watch it the same way, but yeah, this I get what you're saying, like, but what it reminded me of, as well as just in the senselessness of it, was what happened in Vegas with the guy in the hotel,
Mhm.
like shooting down at the concert. In a way, it reminds me of that, because it's like nobody really knows what this guy's motive was. Unlike the September 11th, like, we know what that, like, it was all ideological. That guy in Vegas, it was like he apparently had money, just an older guy that just must have just snapped and did this. That's kind of like what happened in Nova Scotia. This guy's said to be a millionaire. He had a successful business. He owned multiple properties. He had a whole bunch of motorcycles and cars, and he hasn't, like, didn't leave any kind of obvious explanation as far as why he did this. Really, it seems like what likely happened was that night he was drinking, is what people have said.
Mhm.
He got in an argument with his common law partner, and she was the first one who he attacked, but she ended up escaping, apparently in handcuffs, is what the initial news reports have said. He, like, cuffed her in his house, and she managed to escape and survive. From there, it seems like he left the house dressed as a cop and got in his cop car and just went on a rampage
Some
for
of
God
some of
knows
the
why.
some of the reports are that the neighbors actually didn't really get along well with him, based on their interactions with them, and also they knew about the domestic assaults that were taking place on the property too. So that was one of the reasons. He didn't really like the neighbors, but
Mhm.
some of the reports are they responded to that domestic assault that night, and they were the first victims.
Hmm.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's like, I think there's probably a lot of different versions of it going around, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I think until his common law partner's story comes out, because she survived, she spoke to the police, and they know her story. But I think it's when that becomes public knowledge, that's when the facts will be known.
Right.
They're also doing a forensic autopsy. I don't know if you've read about this, which is basically like a detailed look at his personalities and
Right.
history, with a goal of kind of figuring out what may have led to this happening.
Right. What
Yeah,
about
I think I saw something. Oh, I'm gonna get the phrase wrong, but like a gripe collector, not gripe.
Yeah,
It's something else.
a grievance collector, I
Yeah,
think is what they
yeah,
call it.
yeah.
That's actually what my next episode is going to be. My next episode that I'm doing tomorrow is a interview with the criminal, like a criminal profiler who used to be with the FBI, who spoke to CBC and the press really early on saying, I think this guy is a grievance collector. And it's basically this kind of behavior of that's often seen in spree killers or people who snap, which is basically grievances from their past that like like the three of us may get upset with someone and be furious about it, but we eventually get over it very
Right.
quickly, likely, hopefully. A grievance collector, that stuff just stews and stews. So you may collect all these grievances from your past and just blow up and take it out on someone who did you wrong 15 years ago that probably doesn't even remember your name. And yeah, so they believe that this man was a grievance collector.
Yeah.
And perhaps some of his victims, like some of them seemed random, but some of them he was connected to in a way. And it seemed like he was kind of going from house to house, finding people that maybe he slighted him or he perceived them to have slighted him in the past.
Right. There,
Yeah.
it's odd because he did actually go to, like, for example, he drove out of the way instead of going towards Halifax, which he eventually did. He went totally in the opposite direction, up towards Spring Hill, and they were targeted. His victims
No
there were
question.
targeted, but there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know why they were targeted.
Mhm.
That's interesting to me because of the affiliation and who they were and what they did, and also that's my hometown too, where my parents.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, and obviously with corrections, I know people at Spring Hill as well. So it's like the connection. I don't know why they were targeted, but it'd be interesting to find out that piece.
Yeah, and
Yeah, like
it can't be a coincidence that the final victim was also a denturist. He he drove to her home, murdered her, and took her car. But it's just, I'm thinking, like, what is the chance that a denturist would go on a rampage and one of the victims would be a rival denturist? It's
right.
a little weird.
So a slight probably. You're saying he's a grievance collector. People who are grievance collectors thinks the world is out to get them. Basically, nothing is right. They can't, everything, everyone and anyone is against them. So maybe it was personal, right? Maybe she was filed a grievance or something against him.
Yeah, or some kind of business deal, or who knows what it
Who
could have
knows?
been.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that if there is an inquiry in this, people will know, what happened. There's a bit of like I can understand why like a lot of stuff is kept private, but I just hope like with something like this, which is such a huge deal, especially so in Nova Scotia, like I just kind of hope that eventually all the cards are on the table and we can figure it out. Because
Yeah.
I really want to know, what happened, because it's horrific. And I've had like it happened near where I am, of course, but I even have a good friend whose husband survived but was shot a few times in this. So it's like it kind of hits close to home for that reason, especially. So
Yeah, I mean, out of the inquiry, I would hope to see some of these instances, some of these things that happen, mass killings. I don't think you can stop them. I think some of them are truly random enough, and there's just not enough red flags where we can't stop them. They're just going to happen. I think some of them, there are red flags and people don't report them. And then I think some of them, like this one, there were red flags, people reported them, and not enough was done to diffuse this situation earlier, because this could have been locked up a while back.
that's how it seems. And also it like what it's really revealed as well is kind of breakdowns of communication among the RCMP as they were responding. But nobody's really come out and said it, but I have heard a lot of rumblings saying that the pandemic's affecting things, that that everyone was understaffed. People may have been working from home and not have access to all the things that they normally would, and that may have played a small role in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true, but that's the kind of thing that an inquiry will spotlight.
Right.
And just speaking of the pandemic, it is said that, like, I don't know if it affected him, how it has affected him, but he's been said to be have been paranoid about the whole thing. So
Yeah, I can see that.
maybe it kind of riled him up a bit. Who knows?
You can see that in people all around you. Some people are just at a higher level, and I mean, you get a grievance collector. Everyone knows people who are somewhere on that scale of grievance collector, where they're uh, old man angry at the world, and I guess this guy like gets angry enough at the world and has collected enough grievances, and now coronavirus comes around, and yeah, it's just too much for someone who was
Breaking point.
mentally broken from potentially even an early age. I mean, I saw one thing that said that in his yearbook, it said this guy's the most likely to become a cop. So at some point he wanted to be a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think there's a couple cops in his family as well, so it seemed to be not too far from him.
Yeah. That was one of the questions that I had. Does anybody know if he applied to become a police officer? The fixation about having the uniform, the car, but does anybody know that if he applied and got turned down, and that's why it turned around to where he wants to kill a cop?
Yeah, I heard that, but I haven't seen it in any official way. Just hearsay that he had applied really early on in his life and like didn't get in for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But what has come out and people have said is that he did carry a grudge against police and saw himself as better than them. He did get a speeding ticket, very shortly before this had happened, 2 months ago, I think. I can't imagine he took that well. Like, it's kind of actually, here's a story just to talk about cops and stuff. I talked about this on my podcast, and it's kind of this like serendipitous moment where you probably know Frank magazine.
Yep.
Okay, so Frank magazine are like the most hated gossip kind of magazine in Atlantic, Canada, where it's usually, this school teacher is sleeping with this school teacher, and then pictures of their kids on the front page. Like, it's that kind of gossip rag kind of thing. But they do some really good reporting as well. People who know of Frank know them as, that nasty stuff. But anyway, about 2 months before this happened, the shooter actually reached out to Frank to share a story with them, and they did a big story with this guy right before this had happened. Basically, the story is, so he has the denture clinic in Dartmouth. 2 doors down is a Tim Hortons, and he's very protective.
Some cops had parked in his parking lot, and he like chained him in or something like that. He closed the gate on him.
Yeah, he's really protective of his parking lot apparently, and he didn't know it was a cop car. He was just like out in the back area of his business, and he heard a car stop and the door shut, and it was an unmarked cop car, but there was a car in his parking lot. So what he did was he just chained off the parking lot to be like, that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
A couple hours later, 2 people are kind of out in the driveway of his business, and he goes out to approach them, and they're in regular civilian clothes, but they showed him their badges, and they said, we're like undercover police officers. And he wasn't going to open the gate for them. He wanted them to pay him. They wouldn't, and they ended up calling the station and were like, bring bolt cutters, we're going to get the car out of here. And he wasn't having it. He said he was going to have them charged property damage and sue them, and he wanted money from them. And a couple cops and like not the superintendent, but like some important position with the police showed up, and they had a big talk with him, and eventually he agreed to open the gate or the chain. So they all leave, and then as he's driving home that night from work, he got a ticket for speeding, and he ended up going to Frank and shared with him like photos of the cops like trying to get the chains off and all this stuff. And
they did make that into an article, because I saw that article.
It's an interesting article in hindsight, because it does kind of paint the picture of somebody who has a pretty big beef with police.
Yeah, like I remember reading it and being like, this is weird. This is really weird. Why is this a thing? This is like, this person's got a problem.
It's just it comes across like if the whole mass shooting didn't happen, you'd be like, wow, that's, that guy's a nut, and that's a crazy little story. And of course, Frank, like any other news source, like CBC would be like, get out of here. We're not publishing this, but Frank,
Hmm.
they're just like, yeah, like that's their kind of jam. But it it paints a weird picture, and other things like what's come out is people saying he would put on his uniform and quote unquote role play as a cop. So apparently he like they haven't explained what that meant, but apparently he had a lot of fun kind of in the costume. So I like it just this will all come out eventually, but it just sounds like there was some really weird stuff going on.
Yeah. If you were a friend with this guy, it would have been like, huh. How do you explain
Yeah.
away this weirdness? This is pretty weird. Yeah.
I don't think he
Yeah.
had that many friends, from what I
It
heard.
yeah, it seems like he was quite the loner.
Yeah.
And anybody who was close to him seemed to have some nasty stories about him. So including
Yeah.
family, like he had a big falling out with family over a property sale and money. Like it's the guy just seems like an all around nightmare, and for it to end up like this in the end, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhat preventable. Somewhat preventable. Some of these things that happen, not preventable. There's no signs. There's nothing to warn people about. I think with something like this, the warnings were there. The warnings were given. They didn't
And then
act on it.
right. And then there was also the mishandling of it during the event as well. Whatever, like
Yeah.
it
I mean,
just
like we were talking about like the shooting of the police station and that kind of thing, and I think that
fire station.
fire stations, right? And I think that like some of that stuff's going to happen. Like to make an omelet, you're going to break some eggs, and to catch a
Yep.
guy who's doing something completely different that you've never seen before and has never happened in the world, like that's hard. And I think mistakes are going to happen there. But yeah, still like using the emergency alert, that kind of thing is got to happen faster.
Right.
yeah,
Well,
they should. Yeah,
I
sorry,
was
Kelly.
I was going to say, well, it started at 11 o'clock at night on the Saturday night, and then the tweet didn't go out until almost 11 o'clock the next day.
I mean,
And all
I could see
like
like the report they got from the one guy was I think I saw him in a police car. Like it wasn't like a firm report. So I can kind of understand that one. But then as soon
but
as they got it confirmed in the morning, it should have been like, well, we got to confirm.
right.
Let's move out. And
Mhm.
yeah,
The girlfriend came out of the woods that she was hiding in,
yes,
apparently,
yeah,
at 7 o'clock in the morning.
and that's that should have been the thing to do. But we're all like as gun owners, we're interested in this because Trudeau used this as his
Right.
announcement platform. We knew that he was waiting for like a tragedy of some sort to kind of piggyback onto and make his announcement. He chose this one. We know now that, and we knew then as well that it wouldn't have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference to this one. The laws that he chose to put in would make zero difference to this.
That's kind of why I'm surprised that this is happening with the firearms. Like I get the emotion of what happened and the fact that firearms were used, but I don't know like if somebody has illegal firearms, like what could they have done? It's like I think more
Investigated the tips that he had illegal
like
firearms.
or maybe
Right.
announce like if you assault somebody, we're going to lock you up forever. Because if that's a crazy law, but it would have prevented this. Any firearms laws wouldn't have, unless he can get people in the U.S. and around the world to also get rid of them. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we've toyed with mandatory minimums in Canada for firearms crime. The Conservatives actually run on that a lot. It doesn't actually do anything to deter, and it may or may not be like a charter violation. So there are issues with the sentencing around that. It's a tough problem, right? Like it's
yeah,
especially when we share a border with the U.S. and this guy can drive down to the U.S., buy some guns, and drive them back up, right? So it's it's not an easy problem to solve. We've kind of got like reached the limit of like diminishing returns on firearms laws here in Canada. We have relatively low gun crime, and I don't think there's a point in trying to stop using extra laws, something like this happening when it just more hard work. Stop with the extra laws, do the more investigation part, and I think it would have been fine.
yeah. It's so political. Like the whole idea of firearms laws and regulation and stuff. It's such a heated thing. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. Yeah, I don't like it when you read on, like, I'm sure, well, this is your world, but whenever I see people talking about firearm laws, I'm just like, get me the hell out of here, because it gets so intense. And like I get it through Trevor. I
Hmm.
just watch Trevor fight it out with people, and and that's enough for me. But people are so passionate on both sides of
Yeah.
the issue, and yeah, I don't know what will happen, but I think the problem is, it's no matter how illogical the rules or laws he's trying to pass are, to stand up against him on behalf of firearms owners, there are people who will think you're a monster. Even if it's completely illogical, just simply because of the emotion in the issue. They'll bring up, crimes like this and innocent people losing their lives, but it's hard to take away the emotion and look at it. Would these laws change anything?
I think a lot of people see the ends as justifying the means. So
Mhm.
if they want no firearms in Canada, they don't care that it's like illogical. They don't care that it's hypocritical, and he's like grave standing to make this announcement, which would have done nothing. Like that. That doesn't matter. That's okay that he's uh, being a hypocrite about that, because it's going towards the end that they want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I get
Which,
that, but
yeah.
it's so political. It
Yeah.
scares me.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for coming on. So, if people want to hear more of the episodes where you dig into this a little bit deeper, where can they listen to you?
Yeah, so I got 3 parts so far. At you can find me anywhere you get podcasts, really, and or on my website, nighttimepodcast.com. I have 3 episodes about this. The first one walks through the timeline. The second one looks the timeline of the attack. The
Hmm.
second one looks at all the red flags that have emerged from his history, and the third one looks at his history of domestic violence and how domestic violence connects to mass shooting and mass shootings in general. If you look at the
Mm.
statistics in Canada, I think it's like the top 5 worst mass shootings all involve violence against women, which is
Hmm.
very telling to see that that's what people are killing about. And that seems to be the case here.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can get me anywhere you get podcasts or nighttimepodcast.com. And if you listen to my back episodes, you'll hear Trevor talking about firearms in an episode.
And even you
Awesome.
going to the range as well. You
Yeah,
went to the range with them.
yeah. Well, I did a series on a planned shooting that involved specific firearms that a lot of people said would have done this horrific damage. And when I talked to Trevor about it, he said, the firearms they plan to use weren't going to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So to illustrate it, he took me. He owned the firearms that were going to be used in this attack that I was covering, and he took me to a shooting range and let me do it, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, nothing like a little bit of hands-on to see someone's point, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to argue with people about stuff, but
Mhm.
it's closer to the truth when you actually like see it and
Hold
feel
it.
it and try it and hold it. And,
Understand.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what we did. This thing that we were covering was these 2 teenagers or young adults were planning to commit a shooting in the mall. They had no experience with firearms, much like I did. And Trevor said, "I'll bring in the shooting range, and I'm just going to scream at you, and you see how many shots you can get off with this shotgun." And I couldn't get any. I just like froze holding this thing. And eventually, when I did shoot the shotgun, it's like I was sore for days after because of I guess I held it too loose and it hit me. But anyway, it was a good time, and that was when Trevor had the goatee, so
Mhm.
he looked normal. Like if I never would have been near him with it shaved, I wouldn't have been with that person. I don't know if you've done an episode like that yet.
Well, he's growing it back now.
Yes, he
He had
has.
his
And that's
coronavirus beard going, but
Thank
yeah,
God. Yeah. So, and obviously that's why he's not here tonight. You're just letting him grow it back
he's
before.
put a growing time, beard growing time. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I give him a bit. Good.
he's eating whatever is good for growing beards. He's putting like salve on there. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for coming on, and
Anytime.
we'll see you soon next time.
Awesome. And all the best to you. And thanks to all your listeners for checking out my show if they decide to.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Take
Jordan.
care. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks again to Jordan for coming on the show and telling us a little bit more about the shooter and what happened in Nova Scotia. Listener feedback, Facebook. Is there anything there that we need to address or get onto?
No, we've just been talking about it as we go. Kyle will post the stuff about SFRC on next week's show. He's talking about a donation that was made. So we'll post that.
Yeah. Thomas Donnelly was saying I assume that's his Winchester Wildcat. He says it shot fine and the Ruger mags fit. Yeah, I mean, the Ruger mags did fit in there. It's which is kind of nice if you got a 1022 or a 1022, a whole bunch of mags and that kind of thing. Fantastic. Now it'd be really cool if they made a Winchester mag that was not 10 rounds, but like 25. It was like, there's a Winchester mag. That's all it's good for, but it actually fit the 1022. That would be neat. That would be Canadian legal, and then we could get big mags in our 1022s again. Probably not going to happen though, because if they did that, then in the States they'd be like, oh, here's a Ruger 1022 compatible magazine. Maybe they wouldn't.
I don't think it's going to happen.
A man can hope. I can hope. Right?
Sure, you're allowed to hope. I hope I win the lottery too, but I know that's not going to happen.
Oh, this magazine, the way it stops the bolt, it's got a steel thingy there that pops up.
It's got a tab.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps the bolt open at the on the last shot. So, yeah.
This magazine has a lot of open spots for crud to get in. In terms of which one I would pick if I was going to go like shoot in the desert, it would probably be the Ruger mag, but I think this one has more features. It's lighter. And it's less bulky. It's definitely less bulky.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll have to do a full review when I got a little bit of chance to shoot it.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Let me know what you like better.
Listener feedback. Listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, and Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. He's also on Facebook and Instagram. Did you want to take this first one from Webster?
Sure. It says from Webster. Hello, Slimfire Radio. I just wanted to reach out quickly and say that Kelly should rage quit more often. The last show was fantastic. He says, I get this. I'm reading this one. Well, I thought I would miss such insightful comments as, well, yeah, I just did it. And just, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out how much I enjoyed the show without them. Best regards, Webster. Yeah, I know. And you'll love this show too there, Webster. So I should rage quit more often. I did rage quit, didn't I? Sorry about that. I should probably give a little bit of an explanation, maybe, or apologize. Apologize to the
rage
listeners.
Quit. No, apologize for nothing.
All right, I won't.
You had chicken to make.
No, I didn't. I was just pissed off.
Just go with it. Next one's from John. Hi, folks of the greatest radio station in the world. Next week's episode is number 358. That's the diameter of one of the greatest hunting rounds ever, the 35 Remington. I love my Marlin 336 in 35 Remington. Thank you for what you do. I've only recently found your podcast, but love them. Sincerely, John Noob Gunner Leslie. And P.S. I can send a picture of my Grampy's old rifle if you like. Yeah, send us your pictures. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm real lazy with like taking pictures for the show, and I prefer to just use whatever you guys like send in. So send in your pictures of your guns when you send in an email, and we'll probably use it in our show. Yeah.
You've used some of them. Some of them are really good. Especially
really interesting. Yeah. Some like real weird stuff that I have never seen before.
Yeah. You need to read the next one, and I'll read the one after that, unless you know how to speak Big Ma.
I think I can do it. I'll try. Adriel, when you buy a new 22 for the hunting gear guy, and I was wondering, do you go ooh ee ooh ah ting tang walla walla bing bang? P.S. Trevor sucks.
Guess who that was from?
James B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ginger Snaps. Yep. Fun fact, I had to put a password on the EMT over to the Calgary Shooting Center, and I made it that phrase.
Now everybody knows what your password is.
They asked me to do it, but it's only that one. All right.
Only that one? Okay.
Only that one. Only that one. Do you want to take the next one?
Okay, so this one's addressed to Gallon, although Gallon was on last week. Everybody knows that, but it says Quag Gallon. That means hi Gallon. Loved your synopsis of the leaders. Just want to clarify on Sloan. It was Jim. How do you pronounce his last name? Can you pronounce that, Adriel? Calaholis?
Carahelios.
Okay, whatever. Who got kicked out twice, not Sloan. Sloan attacked Dr. Pam and
Carahelios.
Whatever, attacked Shura Law, a financial banking. And he says, Walelan, Chief Gregory B. So he said, thank you.
The language
That's
of that?
It's Mi'kmaq.
Ah, okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Next one from Other Trevor. I'd like to thank Trevor for the help with the 1911 and listeners that donated parts. It's finally finished and I fired it today for the first time. Also, to all the listeners that helped me out after the big fire, a big thanks. My house is being repaired. Drywall has started Monday, the 8th of June, and I should be back in my house by mid-July. I've also put some videos on YouTube documenting the process of the work. If anyone wants to watch, I've included a link. Also, Denis at DC Gunsmith for all the work in repairing my guns after the fire. A big thanks got me up and running with my new Remington 700 in time for Spring Bear.
Nice.
That's
and he did provide a picture as well.
Well, I'm going to use that as the show picture because it's there.
Yeah.
And because I really like the logo on the side of it.
Yes.
It's
Thanks to Denise.
It's the Cobra logo from like G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I love 80s and 90s cartoons.
I like Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yep.
Okay.
If you'd like to email the show, send your email to slamfireradio@gmail.com.
We'll read it.
We will read it. Yeah. And if you put a picture, we'll probably use that too. I don't care if you didn't sign your rights over for it. We're using it. And if you don't like it, you can ask for a full refund of your cost to buy the show.
Speaking of cost to buy the show.
Whatever you paid for to buy the show off of Stitcher or whatever thing you use, yeah, we'll refund you that. Zero. Podcast app reviews. If you'd like to review the podcast, go ahead and review us. I seem to remember, actually, I asked people to review us on Facebook. Did we get any reviews on Facebook?
Nope.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing
Sure.
that people can do?
It is something people can do, but they just don't do it.
Go review us on Facebook if you can, because that might be a thing. I think it's a thing that you can do.
It is a thing, and they can do it. But...
Okay. All right. Yeah. Go review Slamfire on Facebook. Give us some 5 stars or something. I don't know. Patreon supporters, if you'd like to help the show, go ahead and sponsor us on Patreon. It's a once a month. Most people set it up for once a month, and you can sponsor the show for $1 or $2. And if enough of you guys do it, it helps with hosting and that kind of thing, so that we can put the show out. New microphones, new like computers that run properly and don't overheat and stop in the middle of the show. You can also help us out by visiting our website and clicking on the links for Cabela's. So if you want some of that cheap ammo, Cabela's has curbside right now. So you could go on the Cabela's website, order a bunch of, go on our website, click on the link to go to Cabela's, order a bunch of ammo, and then profit.
Pick it up.
Wait, sell underpants and then profit. Yes. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, there's a step in there. I'm not sure what the middle is, but actually, I got an email from Cabela's. I don't know if it's Cabela's U.S. and Canada because I'm an affiliate for both, but one of them is going away from their affiliate network right now. So I'll try to keep us up on that moving.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
let's know what's going on.
Yeah, shout outs, Kelly.
I do want to say to Paul Grady. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, not Paul Grady, Dan Grady. I don't know where Paul came from.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Grady. I wanted to say congratulations to him and his wife for the birth of their son, Oscar. So congratulations to them. So just want to say that.
Awesome.
Yep.
Any others?
Nope.
Nope.
What about you?
Nah, I don't know what's going on. I haven't really been paying attention. I play a lot of video games these days. I'll go out shooting soon. Get back into the real world.
Next week.
Next week I will get back into the real world. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, so I will give you a shout out for that. Getting Alberta
back into the real world.
Yeah, getting back into the real world, getting Alberta up and running again. So thank
you. Don't give me the shout out until it's done. Like it's been a while. There's some rust here.
We all have rust.
Yeah, it's gonna be apparent, but I'm sure most people that are gonna be at that Maple Seed are just happy to be outside and doing some shooting and doing something. So I got that going for me.
Yep.
Yep. Please join a National Firearms Association such as the CCFR. Check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. Like us on Facebook. And if you're in a major municipality, or even if you're not, reach out to your city councilors and your county councilors, county people, whatever is going on in your county, in your area of the world. Reach out to them and talk to them about municipal handgun bans. They will be coming soon, we assume, because Trudeau had it as a platform promise.
It will be coming.
Yeah, it will be coming. So talk to them and try to get them on your side to not ban handguns or put in something god awful like central storage, because if you don't talk to them, they're going to come up with their own crazy ideas on what's going to solve this gun violence epidemic, and you're not going to like the answer. So best to reach out to them, get them the information that they need right now to make an informed decision and not make a huge mistake.
Correct. Also make friends with people not in your city. Just saying. That live out
in case you need to move.
I've already made plans.
Yeah. That's as for as much charter challenges there have been on the OIC, I would see this municipal gun ban one as being much more legally dodgy, because it's going to be hard to put this kind of thing through, like to put in legislation that's going to force people to move. That's not really Canadian. That's yeah. Anyways, reach out to them now, and we'll see you next week.